So welcome back to Fast Casual Nation, the podcast. This, of course, is the show where we talk about all things fast casual, the brands, the executives, and the innovations that are happening around the industry. And today we're going to be talking with one of the co-founding partners of Dog Haus. And Dog Haus is kind of an interesting concept. I want to learn a lot about that. But the topic today will be ghost kitchens. Maybe you've heard of that as the virtual kitchen or the dark kitchen. But today I've got André, who's actually implementing some of these projects within their brand Dog Haus. So André, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Nice to be back.
So André, so we had you on before when we were doing one of our events in Chicago. It was a great conversation. I thought this was something that could really start to expand kind of the concept of what was happening in fast casual and the connectivity to these ghost kitchens. Before we get too far into that, I want to learn a bit about you and kind of how you got going with Dog Haus.
Well, yeah. Thanks again for having me. I started 10 years ago with Dog Haus. Actually, this is our 10th year. Our anniversary will be this upcoming October, so we're excited about that. But was always I was with the Classical Symphony Orchestra for all these years, and I was the president and CEO of the California Philharmonic for a decade. And just wearing a suit every day to work and dealing with the board of directors and governance. Just one day I decided, hey, everybody thinks it's so easy to open a restaurant. Everybody knows how to cook or make a cocktail. So I decided I'm going to get into it. And coming from my background in Germany, hot dogs were a big part of my culture. And I decided one day, let me get into the restaurant business. So like I said, 10 years ago, got into Dog Haus. Thought I'd start off keeping something simple. Had two partners, Hago and Kasim, that started with me. And we opened up our first location in Pasadena, California, and opened up our second location a year later, and then it kept going from there.
Yeah. I've been to many of your locations. The quality level of the product you guys are serving is just off the charts. I love the vibe that you're bringing out in it. And, it's one of those very advanced models of fast casual. When you started developing Dog Haus and kind of what you guys were looking to do, what was the process for you? Did you kind of start that sophisticated, or was it something you kind of built over time?
100% didn't start that way. But what we did start with from day one was a restaurant. We never created this in a silo where we decided, hey, we're going to franchise something and let's start a new franchise concept or a fast casual concept. We didn't even know about that. We just knew that we wanted to have do a restaurant, and we wanted to keep it for all kinds of people, whether it's kids or adults or grandparents. So when Dog Haus founded, we at the time, the three partners, owned two other restaurants. I owned a high-end Red, White, and Blue, a jazz club, steakhouse. And so what we used from day one was high-end chefs to help create this concept. And right away, we used our chefs to make hot dogs and coleslaw and different cheese sauces and whatnot. So I think for that part's been the same from day one. We took the food serious. We were restaurant first, not a franchise company first. And to this day, we still have Elan Hall. I mean, top chef season 2 winner is one of our guys. Adam Gertler or Wursmacher is one of our guys. To have these guys on our team to keep the culinary excellence is so important for us. And now what we've done working with No Kid Hungry, we have our LTOs every other month. We're working with some of these amazing chefs around the country. So
that's cool.
That part's always been there. But how we first opened a place with going to Home Depot and buying some paint and painting the walls ourselves is not the way it is anymore.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, every fast casual brand grows up if they're any good. And you guys definitely have grown into a very sophisticated operation. So great, and congrats to what you're doing there. Where is Dog Haus today in terms of growth, total unit count? Kind of give us a sit rep on the brand.
Sure. Dog Haus today, ending 2019, we're at about 50 locations. 35 of those are typical brick and mortar locations. We have things we call Dog Haus, and then we have Dog Haus beer gardens. The real difference on that is just one has a bar with 30 beers on tap and lots of TVs to watch the game, and the other one's a little bit more of a fast casual. You come in, grab your food, and either dine there or take it to go.
Right.
But so we've got about 35 locations, and then we have another 15 what we call special site locations, and that's anything from being at the Rose Bowl or the Coliseum with the LA Rams or the UCLA Bruins or Trojans, or our new wonderful partnership we started in 2019 with Live Nation. We're in about
Okay.
15 of those locations across the country, and with plans for this year or agreements for this year to move forward in May to kind of double our footprint, just
Yeah.
with Live Nation alone.
Very cool.
And then
So
the
the
last part of our special sites that we consider these, as you say, I don't even know what the name is yet, but virtual restaurants.
Yeah, the ghost kitchens, sure.
Yeah,
So the unit that we got a chance to get on our show, Fast Casual Nation,
correct.
the one in I guess it
Long
was
Beach,
Long
California.
Beach. Yeah, was
Yeah,
that a beer
that
garden
was a
or
beer
was
garden.
that
So what you
okay? All
saw
right.
there was some TVs around the place, outdoor patio. You had that
Yeah,
little
beautiful
separate
space.
bar at the end,
Yeah, I
bartenders.
liked it.
Yeah,
It's very cool. And like I said, great. And of course, some of the consumers that we talked to there they just absolutely loved it. So over the top on service and quality of the food. So congrats to everything you're doing there.
thank you.
All right, so let's get into kind of the topic of today, and that is the fast casual concepts that we've looked at for years. We're seeing some of them break out and kind of move into these more advanced systems. Obviously, on-demand ordering has kind of changed the landscape of food service in general. But ghost kitchens, cloud kitchens, virtual kitchens, whatever you want to call them, this is a fairly new, engagement process for a fast casual restaurant. And you guys were one of the first to really take this very serious and move into it. What was it that drew you to this model and made you think, hey, this could work?
Well, I have to tell you, part of it, I guess most of it was kind of luck and coincidence and fate, I guess you could say, how it all started. One day I was at my daughter's first grade class parent party and meeting parents for the first time, and went
Yeah.
to the bar and ordered a Japanese whiskey, and the guy next to me ordered the same one, and he said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I sell hot dogs." And kind of chuckled, and he said, "Well, I'm kind of in the restaurant space as well." I said, "How are you kind of in a restaurant space?" And he said, "I do these things called, virtual restaurants, these dark kitchens." And I said, "What is that? I've never heard of that." And that was about a year and 3 months ago. And here now, we all understand what they are. So we took a tour of one of their test virtual restaurants in Pasadena, kind of walked around and kind of heard what was going on. At the same week that we were looking at that Kitchen United, our sausage maker Adam Gertler was touring one of the cloud kitchens with the other company out there that's doing this, or
Uh-huh.
one of the other
Yep.
ones. And he said, "Hey guys, I discovered something. It's pretty cool." And so then we said, "Okay, this isn't just a onesie. This is obviously something that's happening." And these companies are real companies. They're not just they've
Right.
got a lot of funding behind them, a lot of backers, and so we just happened to be there at the right day at the right time and ahead of the curve. And as Doghouse always does, we say yes, let's go for it. I
Yeah.
remember when Live Nation came to us this year and said, "Hey, we want to open 15 locations with you." We said, "Great, when?" They said, "In 5 weeks." Um, we kind of laughed and said, "Okay,
Woo.
let's do it. It's in our DNA to take chances." So I think we believe in it, and it makes sense, and we decided to be one of the leaders and be the first ones to figure it out. And I
Yeah.
guess in a year from today, when you have me on your show, I can tell you the answer, I guess.
There you go. All right. So when you look at the strategy, and I'm sure you guys are still in the process of really building this out. Strategy for a fast casual concept like Doghouse, you guys do franchise. What would be a cloud kitchen or a ghost kitchen strategy that you would implement within Doghouse? How would someone kind of engage with you around that?
Well, for starters, there's two ways we're going to do it. If we go into a location, like we're going to be going into Austin, and we already
Uh-huh.
have a franchisee that has that territory, the franchisee will take that location, and that will be their location, and
Okay.
we'll treat it just like a normal franchise agreement, and royalties and marketing, the whole nine yards. When it comes to going into a new area, let's say San Francisco, where we don't have a store and we don't have a franchisee up there, corporate's going to take it over. we're going to open
Mm-hmm.
it, we're going to run it, and we're going to utilize it to test the market for not only for demographics of our clientele, but also
Yeah.
try different culinary, let the chefs go to work and see what are people asking for in that community. What kind of dogs or sausages or burgers can we build for, let's say, San Francisco, and then kind of test the market with some different items, and that way we'll be ready when we open our brick and mortar location in San Francisco. We'll have
Yeah.
already tested the market out, and at that
For
point, we're
sure.
going to use these ghost kitchens as a tool to sell franchises. We will then look for a multi-unit operator in San Francisco. Say, hey, listen, we've tested the market. Here are the numbers. Here's what people like. This is the menu. This is what it's going to be. You can now take over our virtual restaurant. So we'll hand that over to them, and then they could buy a 5-unit deal around San Francisco to develop actual brick and mortars. And so we're going to use this as a little, like I said, not only a test, but also a platform to sell.
Yeah. Well, and the unit economics have to be fantastic on this, because obviously you're not putting in a full brick and mortar to kind of go test a market, or you're going into a new market and someone's kind of building off of that, almost like a commissary center. Has that gone into being able to leverage you guys' advantage in terms of offering franchise systems out there?
I mean, we're definitely taking it as an advantage because, like you said, to sign a 10-year lease to spend
Hmm.
$600,000 to open up a brick and mortar and go, I hope it works, is a
Yeah.
lot different than opening one of these virtual restaurants for $50,000. That's marketing, training, equipment, A
Right.
through Z, and then testing the market and signing a couple year lease. That's a lot different. The risk.
Yeah.
So for us, I mean, for anybody, it's a great risk. Obviously, you're not going to be making the money that a beer garden that's successful would be doing out of one of these.
Hmm.
But like you said, the risk and the getting in and testing is an amazing opportunity for us.
Yeah, and definitely for a franchisee, they're going to be able to tell if this is going to work in that particular market, like in Austin,
Right.
and say, okay, it is working. Now I can go and put an icon location, with great retail space, a beer garden, and then splinter off from there, all based on what my findings were from a ghost kitchen. So I
Right,
think it's
because if people are going to
it's a great
love just the
strategy.
food, and as you've been to our Long Beach location, I mean,
Yep,
then comes the vibe of the music, the
exactly.
game,
Yeah.
the bartender, the full drinks. Then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is
Yeah.
the gravy, I guess you could say.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So as these concepts start to build, we've kind of targeted fast casual as one of the areas that could really explode in this area in terms of growth. And this, I mean, obviously, you're not going to have the number of cloud kitchens that you would in terms of physical spots, because a cloud kitchen can kind of cover an MSA area fairly easy. But the question I have is, when you drop in a cloud kitchen, obviously the big distribution points are the on-demand delivery companies.
100%.
So yeah, so how are you putting deals together with those companies to be able to, obviously that's your lifeline to the guest. Is that kind of the model right now, or is something else happening there?
No, I mean that's completely everything you said is the correct answer. I mean the third party delivery companies are our lifeline. Typically, when we do a grand opening for a brick and mortar, we'll have a free house dog day. We'll give out 1,000 hot dogs or 1,500 hot dogs. The line's wrapped around the door all day, all night,
Hmm.
and people are coming in and we're passing out swag. Everything's different with the virtual restaurant now. What are we doing differently? So we have to do like, hey, free delivery for hot dogs, 50, 100 hot dogs a day for the next 10 days. We have to do a lot of promotions, but all of our marketing is done through these third party deliveries. And like you said,
Right.
it's time now to sit down with these companies and make the deals and say, how are you going to help? And for them, it's also new. It's evolving every
Sure.
single day, and they're just getting the how do we handle these clients now that have virtual restaurants? How do we treat them differently? What can we do for them? Because we're going all in with them, right? This isn't just like
Hmm.
on the side. We're 100% committed with them. So it is working with them. It is trying to figure out who the best partner is with these third party deliveries. And then, of course, what you want to do is once they place that order, you want to put in some promotion inside that stapled bag that goes to the customer. that says, hey, next time, why don't you try grabbing a dog from Dog Haus on us, go to our webpage and,
Yeah.
go download our app and try to, convert them to being a Dog Haus loyal customer as well.
Very cool. So when you, so obviously the app based ecosystem is what kind of drives that connectivity. You guys rolled out a marketing plan. I'm assuming you're using digital and social to kind of drive that awareness, and then working with these delivery platforms to get that kind of that front, that digital storefront, so to speak, out there. Anything specific that you've learned so far that says, hey, this really worked in whatever location?
Well, I mean, it just seems like the one thing, as much social as you do and as much Yelp as you do, I mean, to get the hype going. And I mean, the one advice to all other, it seems like people really like getting the food delivered for free somehow. So that's something,
Yeah.
that's the big win. And of course, the restaurateurs don't want to, have to pay for that delivery fee. But
Right.
that's where the creative part, that's where the partnerships work, that's where the specials work and the deals work. Nobody wants to order a hot dog or a burger and pay $9 for delivery to take 45 minutes. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's what we're figuring out. But
Yeah.
no, I think the social promotions driving people to our site, because when you pay, if you come to our site or our app, it costs us 50 cents to
Hmm.
pay for that transaction. If it goes to the third party, it's could be 20%, 25% even some places.
Right.
And so
Okay.
that's a big difference in the number. So our main thing is to get people to go to Dog Haus, or to come to our website or download our app. I mean, that's a big initiative.
Right.
However, we're also realistic that
So,
that's going to be only 10% of our business.
yeah. So you're running in unison the on-demand delivery apps and then your own web-based ordering that goes directly into the ghost kitchen as well.
Correct. I mean, our
Okay.
thing is really to recruit them with the third party deliveries, and then convert them into our
Yeah.
customer.
Yeah. Online, and I'm seeing a lot more of that even with brick and mortar now, where I go to a concept not too far from our office here, and I used to use Uber through Uber Eats, and then found out that their pickup program was so quick and fast, and it's just around the corner. That was what I've converted to now,
Quick,
and I
fast, and cheap.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
in no cost and it's fast and I save a little money and I can still get the convenience of it. So there's a benefit for everybody, and the operator doesn't have to pay the fee. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
When you look at on demand and just delivery in general, because this is something that I've always looked at, even for pickup, which has been in the fast casual space forever. Obviously, Chipotle is doing some amazing things now with their mobile app and their ordering process. But I'm seeing systems being developed within these fast casual concepts, from packaging, pickup queues, kind of cut the line type systems, things of that nature.
Mhm.
Anything you're seeing in terms of trends that you think, hey, we've got to be prepared for this in the future?
Well, I think I couldn't imagine a store being built in the year 2020 without a pickup area.
Hmm.
I think that everybody is now making their front of the house smaller.
Right.
I think that everybody is starting to add an extra line in the back of the house so that they can
Yeah.
handle that lunch rush of 200 people in your restaurant plus the 100 orders at the same time. I mean, it's just a horrible
Yeah.
thing when people have no room to cook and they just basically hit the off button on those apps, and say, sorry, we're not taking deliveries during lunchtime because we're already busy here.
Oof.
To like walk
Yeah.
away from that is not the right answer. So I
Yeah.
think so. A little bit of the construction in the back of the house, the front of the house, the pickup areas. I think everybody was scared at first, or skip the line, with Starbucks when they had that a year and a half ago, where like people it was just chaos. But that went away, and I think people do need to figure out how to um, be able to, so they can pick it up and skip the line, like you said. I think other trends that people are doing and I think people should do is, I think if you have a loyal customer and an app, they're on your app or they go to your website, the fees aren't going to be they're going to be the price of what it is at your restaurant, and that's the advantage of going to there, because
Right.
I'm sure everybody in the world knows that a delivery fee, everything's marked up 15, 20% or a dollar or more, through the third party delivery. So we have
Yeah.
to let people know, hey, come to us directly, pay the fair price, get it quicker. Don't forget about us. And
Yeah.
you said it, packaging is ongoing. plan for us and evolvement, something that we're constantly trying to get better at, and we're not quitting at it. And there's always something newer and better for the environment and holds the temperature better. So that's a constant battle that we're doing. And I think the last thing is I see being is a lot more of these kiosks in store, for placing the orders in store as
Self-ordering.
well. We're testing
Yeah.
right now an amazing kiosk system that we can't talk about at the moment because we're on NDA on it, but it's basically just walk up and it sees your face and it knows your last order without doing anything, and you
Okay.
don't pull out a credit card, you don't type in your loyalty, you don't scan anything, it just sees you, and then
Okay.
your last order's there. You could obviously edit it, and you say hit pay, and you walk away, and it's all in seconds. And I think if you're dealing with all the millennials and all the people who drive a lot of our fast casual business, I mean, they just love it, right? And your iPhone, you pick it up, shows your face, and you're ready to go. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely some advancements there, and we continue to see kind of this tracking of the development of these technologies being implemented, especially as whether it's third party or pickup or catering, all these different things that are really taking off premises. And you mentioned something I thought was intriguing, and that is front of houses are shrinking, where your dining areas are starting to go down. Does that change the unit economics for a franchisee as the store footprints get smaller?
um, I don't have data to
Or are
back
they
that
just
up.
shifting their funds?
But I
Okay.
mean, if we are
I-
shifting our funds to pickup, and we are shifting our funds to people
right.
wanting to eat at home, and I mean, soon you're going to be going to some of these virtual restaurants where, let's say, there's 10 restaurants at a virtual kitchen. Um, you'll be able to cross order between the different companies. My daughter wants a plain hot dog
Okay.
today, but mom wants the pizza and dad wants the steak, and it will come in one delivery in one bag with one delivery fee. That's what the future is going to be with these virtual restaurants.
That'd be
And
cool.
so it's
Yeah.
not taken away like, oh my God, eating at home with the family is dead anymore. It's actually, I believe it's growing. And this is an opportunity. These
Mhm.
delivery companies are allowing us to actually sit at the family table again. Because my wife works, I work.
Right.
We come home to our kid. Last thing I could do is go by the grocery store, spend an hour shopping, spend an hour prepping, an hour cleaning. So these
Yeah.
third-party deliveries is what's actually bringing, I think, families back together, and I believe it's making it convenient for people who need that convenience.
Yeah.
And
So
so
how many
the restaurants do need to realize that it's not that we're having less customers; we're actually getting more customers because of the accessibility to our
right.
brand. However, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to be sitting necessarily there Tuesday after work and bringing the kid there. They just might say, let's eat at home by the fireplace. Let's get the food to us.
Yeah, absolutely. How many total ghost kitchens do you have today in the Doghouse brand?
Well, right now we have one open in Chicago. We have Austin and Pasadena opening up in the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
So Austin, Texas, and Pasadena, California. So we'll be in 3 states with those. And then we will be opening up next, going to San Francisco, LA, a couple other
Great.
places, and the East Coast as well.
Very cool. All right. So when you look at the growth of fast casual, let's kind of shift away from ghost kitchens and cloud kitchens in general. Fast casual has been one of the segments that has continuously had very good growth over the past several years, actually about the past decade. All positive gains for the most part within the industry in terms of the culminus of the industry itself. But we are seeing a little bit of slowdown. Do you feel that we as fast casual operators are facing more of a industry saturation and too much choice that could be kind of softening that market? Where do you see that hitting fast casual in the next few years?
Well, I see some of the segments being just like oversaturated, right? I mean,
Hmm.
there's a lot of sandwich, at least in Pasadena, there's a lot of sandwich options or pizza options, or
Right.
it's a lot, and that's why we have, I guess you could call it five different categories. We have dog, sausage, burgers, plant-based, and chicken. Those are five main, I guess you could say, categories. And so I think if now there's a little bit of action going on in the chicken segment, but I mean, the plant-based is really an important part that we have to be a part of and adapt to. But hot dogs and sausages, it's not like you know, there's not a big fight for that. So I don't see
Right.
us
Yeah.
slowing down as much as maybe a couple other segments. But I think that like we've been going around average 8 to 10 units the last 3 years, and this year for our brick and mortars, we're doing 20 plus locations. We're like I said, we're doubling from 15 to 30 on our Live Nation venues. But I think where this has a space with these virtual restaurants is we have proven track record that people want our food for delivery, and the different venues, or I guess you could say companies, Kitchen United's, Cloud Kitchens, they would like us to be part of it. And we've agreed with Kitchen United to be a part of every store that they open for 2020. And so it is going to actually allow us to not double our footprint, but we could add on another 10, 20 of these virtual restaurants in
Yeah.
a year that we're already growing 20. And then we're growing another 15 Live Nation venues. And so all of a sudden, 15 plus 20 is 45, is a lot different of our growth model than a year ago when we thought we might just open 20 more locations. So,
Yeah.
and going into all these different states, we're in 10 states right now, but by the end of this year, we'll be in 25 different states,
Yeah.
whether it's a
That-
virtual restaurant, whether it's an airport, whether it's a coliseum. It's good for a young brand like us.
Yeah, absolutely. We had an expert on another show of ours recently, and it really kind of piqued my interest in this one particular demographic area, Gen Zs, which is kind of about 26 and below.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really talking about this shift between the Gen Z and the millennial. You guys, I think, kind of fit in both those markets, because I can imagine a younger audience would really be migrating toward your product line. Are you guys doing anything to really kind of focus in on that Gen Z emerging audience?
What we are doing about it is talking about it. We agree with what you said, and I mean, there's a lot of people are saying it might be the first ever group that merges. I mean, they have a lot of the same traits, and they might be
Uh-huh.
passed on a lot of the same behaviors. Millennials are a big part of our audience, and so we can't ignore that age group of
Sure.
20. I mean, high school kids love 17-year-olds love Doghouse,
Yeah.
20-year-olds love Doghouse, 10-year-olds love Doghouse. So we're lucky that we could introduce our brand to these kids at such a young age. I mean, who doesn't want a plain hot dog and hamburger and tater tots? So we're very excited about the potential of what's coming around the corner for us, and we're also are having meetings discussing targeting. So the answer is yes, we are planning on targeting that group, and we always have, because I have an 8-year-old daughter. Let me tell you who decides what my wife and I are having for dinner. It's not
Yeah,
going to
right.
be what I want tonight. It's going to be
Yeah.
what she wants. So we have been targeting them with swag and motivation and kind of fun reasons why they should go there. But I can't say that we actually have an answer yet on how we're going to do it. We just
Yeah.
know we have to do it.
Yeah, it's very new. The trends are just now starting to perk up. Obviously, that group is starting to spend money, but you're right. The veto vote of the younger audience is already implemented in most of our society today. So it definitely hits home
Yeah,
in a lot of fast casual
and we
brands,
have to make
for
sure
sure.
we have our plant-based food. We have to make sure, even though we sell 90% of our drinks or beers, beverages or beers, we got to make sure that we have a Sauvignon Blanc for the veto factor, like you say. Like we just have
Right.
to make
Yeah.
sure that we take care of everybody.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Well, I'm glad you guys are doing so great. I love the brand and what you guys are doing. And every time I'm in a city that a Doghouse is in, I'm always trying to chase down the location.
That's
So
awesome.
I can't
Awesome.
I can't wait to when are you coming to the East Coast? Any plans for that?
Well, I mean, our number one grossing store right now is in Bethesda, Maryland. So that one's been
Oh
open
wow.
for about
Okay.
a year, and that does amazing. We have another store that is great up in Clifton Park, New York. And we are planning going to Brooklyn with a few virtual restaurants coming around the corner. But
Very
yeah,
nice.
we would love to start opening some stores in Florida where you guys are, and come to the East Coast, and just depends on the franchise opportunities that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Andre, it's been great talking to you. Thanks so much for stopping in on the episode today. It's been
And
great.
thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. For all of you listening in, whether you're over on Spotify or maybe you're listening in on iTunes, make sure and leave us a rating. If you have an idea for a show, you can also send us a note to producer@foodabletv.com. And of course, if you have an amazing fast casual that maybe you think is a secret in your own little town, shoot me an email, just producer@foodabletv, or of course, you can hit me up on Twitter @PaulBaron. We will catch you next time right here on Fast Casual Nation.